town. Hello, old school comic book reviews. Okay, this video is going to be about the reaction to the big news that DC Comics released recently. Basically, what's going on is DC Comics, has announced that at the end or after the end of Flashpoint, which is this summer's, big crossover event, DC is planning to revamp their entire superhero universe. So I guess, certain characters are going to have new looks and new costumes. Certain characters are going to have their origins tweaked a bit. I don't know what else is going on. Different creative teams are on different titles, and a lot of the comics are starting over with brand new #1 issues. And it's really interesting because I've seen all types of reactions, everything from this is great, this is cool, I can go back to reading DC Comics now, I can just jump in and not worry about all this other baggage, and it's cool because they made a big bold move, and this is exactly the sort of thing they need to do to take on Marvel, and it's going to get people interested, and it's going to shake things up, and it's just going to help bring in new readers, and it's going to be great, all the way to the other end of the spectrum, which is basically, this is terrible, it's the worst thing that Jeff Johns has ever done, it's the worst thing that Dan DiDio has ever approved of, I hate it, they're going to ruin my favorite characters, I am never buying DC Comics again, this is just awful, it's the worst thing ever to happen to comics, and it's really interesting to me how, worked up everybody is, because DC is kind of at this point known for just doing revamps and reboots and tweakings and retcons and things like that, let's see here. I mean, well, one thing I thought was interesting, just on a personal level, I was kind of okay, well, let's wait and see, whatever. Some of it's going to be good, some of it's going to be bad, some of it's going to be mediocre in the middle, just like always. But I thought it was interesting, the whole thing of starting everything over with #1 issues, because I know that Marv Wolfman, who was the writer of the original Crisis on Infinite Earths back in '86, said that one of the ideas that they had when they were planning the series was that after issue 12, they take a month off and then start everybody over with brand new #1 series. And I believe one of the reasons they decided against it was that they were just afraid that they just might alienate too many of the older fans. So I think it's pretty interesting that, back then, that was their logic, but now, obviously, the people in charge are like, this would be a really cool, stunt or gimmick or starting point or whatever you want to call it. But going back to what I was saying before, DC has always done revamps and things like that. I mean, just think about how many revamps we've gotten just in the last several years. Revamp Wonder Woman, Batman new costume, Rebirth Flash, Rebirth Green Lantern. We're just coming out of Brightest Day. The dust has not even settled on Brightest Day, Before that, there was Infinite Crises, which resulted in New Earth. And then they did 1 year later, Then you go back, they had Zero Hour, And I'm sure there's probably something that I'm leaving out or whatever. But my point being, they've always done these tweaks and rebirths and revamps and things like that. So my question is, why do you think, and I'm really interested in what other people have to say, why do you think so many people are just really worked up about this particular revamp? Whereas before people just kind of took it all in stride. My guess or supposition, I'm using that word wrong, but my guess would be it probably has a lot to do with the whole renumbering everything, starting again at #1, because it gives the impression that DC is really committed to this is a complete restart, everything is fresh, forget about the past, you know what I mean? And I think that's what I think a lot of people are afraid of. They're afraid that my favorite characters, my favorite stories, those don't count anymore. Those didn't happen. They've forgotten about the history and the legacy of all these characters. And I think that's what's gotten some of the people, kind of pissed off. On the other hand, I think that's got some of the other people, really excited. Like, now I can go in there and I can pretend that these are all new characters and I can get in on the ground floor and I can, discover them along with everybody else. I can be in there, right at the start. So yeah, that's my question. Well, actually, just to throw this in there, I don't know what DC is going to do about Hyper Time. Hyper Time was a concept that Mark Waid came up with, and I think in the Kingdom, which was this kind of sort of sequel to Kingdom Come, where the idea is no matter whatever the continuity is now or what the established quo is now, every story that they ever did, all those stories did happen, and all those stories do count. So, there's that. So I don't know how that's going to fit into the whole thing, or if it does fit into the whole thing, or, if anybody even remembers it, but I think that's there. I guess that's pretty much it, I mean, my thing about what I think is going to happen, I think it's probably going to be pretty much just like every other reboot they've done. They'll have some changes that'll stick around for a while. They'll have a few other changes that'll be there for a little bit, but they'll gradually change them back. And then of course there's stuff that'll get changed back to exactly the way it was before when they do the next revamp, But anyway, yeah, that's my question. Why is it that you think a lot of the fans are really either positively or negative? Why do you think so many people are so worked up about this revamp in particular? Whereas, like I said before, the other revamps, people are like, well, okay, let's see. Okay, I guess that's it. I got to thank you very much for listening. Leave your comments at the bottom. If you want to check out my blog, I'll leave a link in the bottom. And that's it. I'm really interested in what other people have to say. Thanks, and you have a great day.